Welcome to Podcasting with Steve. Podcasting with Steve is a video series where we describe starting and developing your very own podcast. Now, why is now a good time to start a podcast? Well, we are living in the golden age of self-expression. Whether we speak, whether we sing, whether we scribble our ideas on a piece of paper, whether we dance, draw, or doodle, there's a platform out there where we can spread our ideas far and wide. And you know what the best part is? We don't have to ask anybody for permission. Now, why would you like to start a podcast? Are you a teacher or an educator? Could you do a weekly podcast series on homework strategies, how families can reduce stress? Are you a member of the clergy? Could you do a faith-based podcast? Do you work with the elderly? Could you do a podcast on aging gracefully? If you answered yes to any of those questions, podcasting is for you. Now, today, we're going to talk about adding sound and music to our podcast. While the most important part of any podcast is the content and the message, adding sound and music makes it a little bit more entertaining. Okay, let's get right to it. I'm going to take you to a site now called Envato Elements. I bought a membership in Envato. It's a nominal investment every year, and I feel good about making the investment because I think it's important that when we use somebody else's material, we keep it above board, we pay for it. And then the good news is Envato allows us to download a license. So if we ever go on a platform and there's a question about copyright, by using Envato, we could produce the license that we have permission to use it. So it's great from the integrity standpoint. We pay for what we use. And it's also great on a practical matter where you can demonstrate you've got a right to use this material. So what are some of the sound effects? This is really cool.
Audio Jungle.
Whoosh.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
All kinds of good stuff. What about music?
Audio Jungle.
So we've got all kinds of categories: epic, powerful, happy, cheerful, inspiring, uplifting. So you can find whatever you want with Envato Elements. Nominal fee every year, but it's well worth it. All right. So you signed up for Envato Elements. You found the music you like. You downloaded it. Now what do we do? Well, the next thing we do is we open up our Audacity software. That's the software that I introduced you to last week. If you haven't got a chance to watch last week's episode on editing, I encourage you to do it. That way you'll be up to speed on this and you'll have an idea where we stand. Now, this is an audio podcast that we're going to edit and play with. We're going to add sound and music. It was a few short years ago when podcasting started coming of age that everything. All right. So the content is in there. The verbiage is in there. Now we want to add music. So how do we add music? Well, what I'm going to do is I am going to get the music that I've downloaded. So I'm going to open new ones. And I'm going to open crowd applause. I'm going to open swing jazz, and I'm going to open wooden bat. Now we're going to have some fun. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the original podcast, and I call that podcast Sounds and Music. And we're going to add music to it. So what we do is we open up a second track, add new, and we add a stereo track, and here it is. And we go back to the beginning, it's on 0. And then we go to swing jazz. We highlight it. We hit Control C to copy. And then we insert it right here. And there you have it. We've got about 2 minutes of music to enhance the podcast. It was a few short years ago when podcasting started. All right, so that sounds good. The music sounds good. The content sounds good. But what I like to do is I like to have the music start for about 5 seconds before the content starts. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the content. And we're going to hit Control X. Now it's gone. Then we're going to zoom in. And we're going to put the content at 5 seconds. There you go. It was a few short years ago when all right, that's good, except I would like to fade it out a little bit. I don't want the music at full volume through the whole time because I just wanted to enhance the content. So what we're going to do is we are going to highlight, and then we're going to do fade. We're going to fade out. Now, fading out just once isn't enough, but what Audacity allows you to do is go to Control R and fade it out more. So I faded out once. Now I'm going to do it about 10 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now let's see how it sounds. It was a few short years ago. All right, when podcasting started coming available. I like that. Now I want to add a little bit of oomph in the podcast. So we're going to just put it here. Let's see what it says here. As she talks about the financial trends, the healthcare trends, and all the trends that affect people, particularly as they get older and close to retirement. What is your passion? What could you do a podcast on? All right, what is your passion? What could you do a podcast on? Well, I want to add a little bit of oomph. So we're at just before 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm going to open up Wooden Bat. I'm going to get about 3 seconds of it. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to go over here, and we're at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and I'm going to just insert the wooden bat right here. Oh, there it is. Okay. I have a financial planner who does her own podcast. As she talks about the financial trends, the healthcare trends, and all the trends that affect people, particularly as they get older and close to retirement. What is your passion? What could you do a podcast on? It's also fun. Do the baseball bat? What is your passion? What could you do a podcast on? Yeah. All right, that added a little bit of oomph. Now, I enjoy myself when I do these podcasts, and I think also fun. I think my guests and I deserve a round of applause at the end. So, crowd applause. I do 4 seconds of that. I'm generous. And then I go back. Put it right at the end. Whoop. There it is. Now, I think this is what it sounds like now. I actually like to fade it out. There it goes. Now let's hear this. We'll release the episodes every Thursday. So please subscribe and you'll get notified each Thursday morning when the episode gets released. All right. Now we just need to do one more thing. I need to have music at the end and we need to sign off. So we go back to swing jazz. It's already highlighted. And I like the music to go for about a minute and a half toward the end of the podcast. So this is 6 minutes and a little over 30 seconds. So I'm going to do it a little bit over 5 minutes. I'm going to go back to the second track. Right here. There we go. Now we're going to fade this one in. So we go to fade, fade in, and I'm going to do this about 10 times. Control R. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's getting too much. I'm going to go back. Let's try it right there. I did it 7 times. Getting the file, the recording, ready for editing, doing the editing itself, how to add music and sound effects, podcast hosting sites, releasing it to the public, and then building an audience. We'll release the episodes every Thursday. So please subscribe and you'll get notified each Thursday morning when the episode gets released. What do you think? I think we got the music right. So I'm going to turn this off and then I'm going to go back to 0. I'm going to save this because I like it. It's ready to go. Save project. And it's called Sounds and Music, so I can always find it. But one thing I'm also going to do, I'm going to mix it. And I'm going to mix and render. And it comes out on Audacity as a wave, but I need to do it on an MP3. So I hit export. We're good to go. And our little project that we put our heart and our soul into is ready for release. So what's the next step? The next step is for you to start your podcast. You've got something going on. You've got a ninja skill that you're really good at that you need to talk about. And you need to start your podcast. And while you're doing it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe so this message can go far and wide. And we'll find that shining needle of common ground in that haystack of fear.